Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David.
My name is Zach.
I'm Colin.
And I'm Craig 5, standing by.
I'm also Josh, the first one.
And this is where we talk about all things Star Wars and all things The Acolyte, Episode 8. There wasn't a title for this episode when you started watching it, but it just said, just watch the episode.
It was loading.
It was wild. Yeah. So, okay, yeah. It came up right as I clicked on it. It was kind of weird. I waited a little bit. I don't know. Didn't make sense. But this is the spoiler review show for the season finale of The Acolyte, Episode 8, with underlines and bold and italics for the word spoiler, because we're going to spoil a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting things we saw on screen. Two huge characters were shown to us. So if you haven't seen the episode, turn us off, save us for later, come back, because there are tons of spoilery things that we're going to talk about, and you definitely don't want to get spoiled. I almost got spoiled because I was looking at the timestamp for how long the episode was, and luckily I didn't see the very last shot because that would have spoiled a lot of stuff. But anyways, yeah, we're definitely going to talk about this in depth. Yeah, so I think the most excited person, the person that's like, hurry up and hit record, is Colin. So Colin, he's got a lot to say. So let her rip, Colin.
All right, Max Rebo showed up. It was the best. I'm just kidding. No, no. Holy crap. Really yeah. Or I will say that the director Leslie did a great job of saying, that this show was going to end in a satisfying way. And I don't know if you could hear the sarcasticness in my voice, but I'm being sarcastic about it because this show ended one plot of the main plot, but it did not leave it as she said, because she said there was not going to be any cliffhangers or anything. Are you kidding me? There's so many, not hints. She said there would be hints of a second season. There were so many different plot lines leaning towards a second season and a cliffhanger. So, oh man.
Well, let's start with the biggest.
Yes. Well, Kaylin Bunn is saying on YouTube the episode was amazing. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know what that is. That's like a running theme for these post shows. People join us and they say they haven't watched the episode. So let me reemphasize: spoilers, big spoilers.
They did not say his name, but it's Darth Plagueis. He was just like, as soon as they showed his hand, I was like, okay, that's cool. I wish we could see his face. And then the next shot was his face, and I was like, holy crap, they actually did it. They actually showed him. I did not think they would of that much. I thought it would be a hint, or of just seeing him is such a big deal. It is a very, very, very big deal of having him actually come into live action and come out of Legends from the books and everything. What was everyone's reaction when we first saw him?
I thought he was a droid at first. The hand looked.
Shock. I knew instantly it was him.
Oh wow!
I knew instantly. I was just like, "That's." I was like, "Plagueis."
I definitely think it was. It at least having him there makes sense. That's the one thing that I can sit here and be like, I'm glad that it's not just like a random stupid cameo. It actually makes sense for him to be here to try and figure out how to create one.
Well, supposedly that was his planet, right? That they had mentioned
Baldemnik, yes.
That he had him, so I was hoping we were going to see him, and then he did not disappoint. That takes the show to another level. Just in showing him, giving us Plagueis really takes the show to another level.
It kind of freaked me out seeing him in a cool way.
Too, where we got Luke at the end. It took the show to the next level to actually get Luke. And it takes the show to the next level to get Plagueis.
So, do you think he was spying on Chimere? Or do you think he had, he knows what Chimere is up to trying to find an acolyte?
I thought he was his master, no?
Well sure, but was Chimere off there, trying to get away from Plagueis, and Plagueis followed him out there and saw what he was doing with Osha?
Yeah. So that was the question: was why was Plagueis there on the island? Does Chimere think that he got rid of Plagueis in a way, and that's why he's
Yeah.
trying to find a new apprentice, or is he just kind of on this planet doing his own thing, hoping that his master doesn't find out what he's up to? Because the thing I could see for a potential second season is that they're training Darth Plagueis. I mean, and then maybe half of the season, he's trying to, trick him, uh, where Chimera is trying to trick Plagueis and like, so that, oh yeah, I don't have an apprentice. I have no idea what you're talking about, but in reality, Plagueis knows everything. And then
Mhm.
as soon as he sees OSHA's full potential unlocked is when Plagueis will strike and take um, Chimera out or something. And then from there, we might, it just depends on how far down the timeline is, because we all know this is leading to the Phantom Menace and potentially Palpatine. So it's just like there's of just that one shot is such a big deal. Craig,
Is your microphone on, Colin, or are you talking through your earbuds? Because you sound kind of different.
Sorry.
okay,
Colin, let me jump in there real quick. It almost did that voice over the intercom not sound like Palpatine? It sounded like Palpatine. There was one scene you could hear somebody talking, and I was like, that kind of sounds like Palpatine. I have to listen again. But did anybody feel that vibe or catch that vibe too? I think it was you could maybe somebody was talking to Vanestra, and it said, and the bottom said man over intercom. It didn't say a name or something.
I didn't pick up on that. Maybe I missed it.
So yeah, it's hard to kind of fight against the birth time of Palpatine. There, he's not born yet, so it can't be him, right?
I mean, is it?
I mean, he has more of a humanoid lifespan than Coyote Mundi, so
Yeah.
it would be kind of.
yeah,
And I think it's more ingrained that he was born at a certain point in time. But yeah, going back to Colin's point there,
yeah.
what's the whole relationship dynamic between Plagueis, Chimere, and now the Acolyte and OSHA? I don't think Chimere was tricking Darth Plagueis. I think kind of Plagueis kind of knows what's going on and stuff. I think
Dooku and Ventress.
yeah, it almost feels like Chimere he's working with Plagueis. It's the rule of two's in play.
Yeah.
Plagueis is obviously, I think, the master. Chimere is,
Yeah.
unless I don't know if it's the other way around. I don't think so, but Chimere's the apprentice. So that's the rule of two.
I don't.
He's
know.
looking for an acolyte. Is there anything finite out there that it kind of sort of skirts the rule of two, having a third person now, kind of in the mix in this Sith relationship.
Unless somehow it branches off to the Knights of the Ren somehow.
Because
Right?
Yeah.
he never explicitly says that he is Sith himself. He just says, you would call me as that. I don't know if he actually thinks that he is one.
If he's under Plagueis, he's got to be.
So we did not get that answer then, because remember when you heard the Kylo Ren music at that one point where I think Mayor OSHA was on the ground and then Chimere kind of flipped her, then we heard the Kylo Ren music. Leslie Headland said that there is definitely a connection between that music and Chimere, what was going on. So we didn't get that answer. It's kind of up in the air still with that.
So, all right. With Plagueis as well, and in Legends, he was a senator. And I think that with the politics playing, because in this episode, especially, politics played a huge part in this episode. Which going forward, again, I'm saying hypothetically if there's a second season, because it hasn't been greenlit and I'm hoping that there is, but that is going to be a big deal going forward with all of the politics and stuff like that. And it wouldn't be the prequel without the politics, but Darth Plagueis is probably going to have that role in the Senate, and he's going to have a larger role in that second season. I'm trying to get to the point, Craig. Don't worry, because I can sense you freaking out. Who do you want to be cast as Darth Plagueis? Because I don't think we had an actual actor play him. I think it was mainly CGI. But who do you think is going to play Darth Plagueis going forward? Because you have to find a very you have to find an actor that is gonna, play this role in a very strong way that is going to, hint at, maybe characteristics as the Emperor and stuff like that, because the Emperor had to learn that from somewhere. So
It's Andy Serkis, obviously.
Okay.
Do the motion capture and the voice.
We're gonna have to think about that. Like, nobody comes to my mind off the top of my head. What about you guys, David? Anybody come to your mind? Nobody?
Andy Serkis, motion capture.
Really?
He can do different voices.
I think you could do it in a costume and actually have it be like Doug Jones, the super lengthy dude. He does a lot of character makeup. Like he was Abe in Hellboy, and that like strangly man with the eyes in his hands in
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah. So I think he'd be really cool.
So we had friend of the show Brian just text me, and he said, "Why did Basil sabotage the ship?" And that was so out of place for me. Anybody have any ideas on that one?
Yes, I think he was doing it because he saw Soul doing it, and he's so used to working with Jedi, and he's like, "Why is Soul gonna kill this girl?" Because from his point of view, it looked like he was gonna, completely blast the ship, like just blow it up. So I think from his point of view, that's what was happening, and he's like, "This is not the Jedi way. What are you doing? I'm gonna make sure you don't do that." It wasn't just like, "Oh, I don't like Soul anymore." I think it was more of him just of just doing his duty. I don't think it was anything personal.
It's either Basil has the Force or he has really great intuition,
Yeah.
Because, he already had suspicions with Soul because you saw him in one scene where he was like, what the heck's going on here? And then I think he kind of like waited to build the case against Soul, and he did that out of just, I don't know, maybe just freaked out. I don't know.
I didn't get the feeling that Soul was trying to kill her, though. I thought he was trying to like lock onto the ship or something.
Right. Well, I think from his point of view, normally when you lock onto a ship, you're about to blow it up. And I don't think that he was thinking, "Oh, he's just doing that to do that." I think it's like, oh, most of the time when you're targeting on the ship, you're, about to fire. So it just made sense to me that he's like, "Oh, I can't let Soul kill someone. Like, that's not the Jedi way. What are you doing?" But yeah.
Yeah, Obi Fluff Kenobi on YouTube says any ideas as to where Chimere's memory takes place when May gets into his head. Maybe it's the same moment he got that light whip scar on his back.
Yes, and we got an answer to that of what the connection between Chimere and Master Veenstra was, and Chimere was her apprentice. So that was hinted at, and
which we all kind of suspected, but it was nice to hear that. Yeah.
Yes, but now that line from the 5th episode, was, "Do you Chimere said to Soul, 'Do you remember me?' or something like that." That line makes more sense now.
Yeah.
Just because it was more than just they saw him at the shop. It was deeper than that, and now we know that now. And Soul probably hasn't seen Chimere since he was a kid.
Yeah.
So
he was probably much older than Soul.
Yeah. So now I want that history. I want to know what happened there, and then we also have Master Veenstra going down, a very corrupt path, because she covered up a lot of stuff.
Boy, she looked really. She looks way worse than Saul to me.
Yeah, she looks really bad. Yeah, so
Saul admitted to what was going on and came clean, kind of.
What do you guys think? Do you think
she's not to the right audience? No.
Did she come clean to Yoda, or did she lie to Yoda?
She lied, because I'd imagine when they get to the council in the prequels about the Sith being extinct from a millennia, that's due to their hubris. Like, that's totally, if she told the senators that that's what happened and told something different to Yoda, I'd feel like those stories wouldn't line up to two different parties very quickly.
So somebody's able to sense like actually what happened, or just that he died? because like I don't necessarily know that she thinks that like her old Padawan is like Sith or whatever, just maybe meddling in bad things around the area. So I don't know if she knows that like he's directly responsible for this or he's influencing someone else or something weird.
So this comment right here, I want to talk about this because this is hinted at all in the prequels. How could Yoda not sense what the evil Jedi was doing at the end? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of corruption happening in the prequels. How could Yoda be in the same room as Palpatine and
I was
not
just gonna
know?
say.
Yeah. So that absolutely makes sense. They are so blinded by what's happening in the Senate and what's happening in the war that they're not looking at what's directly in front of them. And what we saw in this episode and in this show is the beginning of that. That is why they are so blind in the prequels, why they cannot see the Dark Lord of the Sith right in front of them because they are so distracted of what's going on. And we also saw examples of this in Tales of the Jedi with all the episodes with Count Dooku. Like and that's what led Dooku to the dark side because they were so blinded by being pawns of the Senate and the corruption happening in front of them. So
yeah,
that's the answer to that question.
Well, and I think there's also another part of that. The virginces. There's a virgins at the Jedi Temple as well, and I think that also has something to do with clouding minds and making stuff fuzzy. So,
are you talking about the Sith Temple?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I believe it was confirmed that, there's a virgins there, and the same kind of thing that's on Brendok, and the same kind of thing that's on Octu. So, and on Ilum as well.
What virgins are you referring to? Like the virgins of the Sith Temple underneath, or something?
Yes, it's confirmed there was a virgins there. That's why the Sith built their temple there, and then the Jedi built their temple on top of the Sith Temple.
How about we haven't even touched this? The bleeding of the crystal.
That was awesome. First ever.
That was the first time that we got that on the screen.
Well, I thought the crystal got like knocked loose in the hilt when it hit the rock when they tossed it, and I didn't know if it was gonna get plucked out. And we see her do what Kylo Ren kind of does in the comic book when his hand's all bloody and all that stuff. But it just kind of she was holding the hilt, so I mean it was right there, but it was still kind of cool to see that.
So I know there's gonna be this big kind of question of why Kylo, when like Kylo did it, his lightsaber turned out to be like all choppy and weird, but when
it cracked,
right. So here's the thing is that I think Osha, like her feeling for that entire thing was pure anger. I think when Kylo was doing it, it was anger mixed with confusion. So it wasn't full out dark side at the moment. And that's my opinion on it, but I think that's what happened there.
Well, it was certainly cool to see.
It was.
Right? It was like, whoa!
That scene like went really hard.
I thought she was gonna kill Chimere, like in the moment when they got super close together for like 10 seconds, and then other things happened. But
I thought so too.
I really didn't think Chimere was gonna survive this episode.
No, I thought Soul was gonna kill Chimere. Especially after he got disarmed.
I don't know why, but this episode, and I think Josh might be able to, I mean, he might agree with me, but in this episode, I don't know why, but the lightsabers in this episode just looked like more of the Galaxy's Edge ones, more than ever.
I could agree to that. I noticed that a little bit.
That's good marketing.
Yeah. I don't know why,
I could say that,
but the hilts and the blades just look like, you know what?
Yeah.
We just ran out of them on set. How about we go to Galaxy's Edge real quick and just grab some?
Well, it's back in time more, so the technology is more bulky.
So those those hilts like look really.
Yeah, if you ever have time, go look at the concept arts that they have for this, like for their lightsabers. Dude, they go hard. I was like,
I know.
Who are these?
Why did they use them? And it's just like, well, because eventually we're gonna have to make them a Galaxy's Edge, and these designs are just too hard. And it's just like, okay. Yeah, man.
So we saw
Mob rules
some
on
big
YouTube.
moments in this show. We saw some really big moments. We saw Plagueis. We saw Crystal being bled. We saw Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
We watched Osha turn to the dark side, and the way she killed Saul was just brutal.
I was so bummed
about that.
I was so bummed that he died. I mean, it makes sense that they got to end the plot with him, but
dog, just tell her the truth. Don't. Just, I was like, can you make yourself just sound like a little bit better? Just be like, hey man, I was scared. I mean, she turned into a smoke monster, man. I didn't know what was gonna happen.
She didn't give him much of a chance to talk, though. She kind of just.
She's like, I'm sorry, I killed her. I was like, and
go on, bro. Defend your No.
Okay, so we've had a lot of time to think about that situation where Soul's stuck. Anastasia, what would you guys have done in that situation? Would you have taken out the lightsaber? Same thing.
Yep.
I think because May was disappearing, that was what was
that triggered him
to her. That was the reason I thought like it was more justified because I think he was saving May there.
I would have used the Force. I wouldn't have gone straight to using, like.
Yeah, he stuck her.
Yeah, so it's just I think I would have used the Force to like maybe try and stop her from forming into the black smoke monster thing. Yeah. I don't know if I would have
He
gone.
Panicked. He didn't know what to do. You see, May disappearing in the smoke, and she looks like she's gonna turn into like a vampire and fly away or something. It was like, what the heck?
Well, the beauty about the show is that we're seeing the Force actually being used a lot in moments that most of the time it's a good time to use the Force. So that was the one moment where I was like, man, he should have used the Force right there.
Well, there's that moment where Soul uses that like Force maneuver where it's like Force energy when the two sabers are flying around him.
Yeah, like a Force Unleashed.
Yeah, it was very much Force Unleashed.
Yeah. That was the thing that popped in my head. I was like, we haven't seen. I don't know if we have seen a full Force repulse like we've seen on Force Unleashed, like in live action. I don't think we've seen. I think you're right on screen. So cool. that was really, really cool to see. Again, all of the lightsaber fights in the show have just
I definitely think choreography wise, very good.
That was super solid.
Top notch. So impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, Jordy 1994 on YouTube says I would have done the same thing. He was turning the kid into smoke. He probably thought she was harming her. I think that's what we all figured. To him, she was an unarmed Jedi fight creatures that don't use a lightsaber.
Well, and think about the adrenaline rush you'd get for being in a tense situation like that, where any sudden movements could really offset somebody to just, I don't know. I'm not saying he twitched and stabbed her, but it's, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, so
we
we
should
talked
ask
about
the audience what would they give the show on a scale of 1 to 10, so we could talk about that throughout the episode. Me, I'd probably give it a 9.
I would agree with that. I would give it a 9.
The series as a whole or the episode itself?
Just the episode.
Oh, okay.
Overall, I'd probably give the series an 8.
Okay. Well, oh man.
Ooh.
I'm still processing, man, because
me too.
It's a lot.
It could be an initial reaction.
6, solid 6.
This
episode
is a 6.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think for me, like 6.5.
Yeah, I'm thinking like a 7.
That's
I'm close to where Josh is.
You gave that episode a D-?
I feel like it didn't wrap up as much as I needed. For me, like I was like, dude, we have so much to wrap up, and I don't think they're gonna get a second season. So I'm kind of sitting here just like, bro, please.
That was my thing. I
don't know, man. 6.5 seems pretty rough. I mean, there was some awesome action. We got Plagueis. We got Yoda.
Those are the things that would bring it up. Because if that wasn't there, like no Yoda, no Plagueis, and no lightsaber fight, I don't think that this would have been a great episode.
Well, then we could have been watching an episode of Cheers or something if you take on all the Star Wars stuff.
Then if you compare, if I compare this to like other episodes that we've had. Like I still think this is a better episode than those.
Yeah,
but for me,
I agree with that, Josh. I think the interaction between Ocean and May by the tree, that was cringy, guys. Like that was That was that was something. I don't know. That wasn't my favorite, and that's my opinion. But
okay,
it was.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But I didn't give it a 10, so I have wiggle room.
Sure. No, that's
well, I mean,
fair.
it was two women coming together, written. The dialogue and everything was written probably by a woman as well. So I mean, it was. I mean, I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying. I mean.
Yeah. Well,
it was feminine.
You hear Basil, like, I don't know, he sounds like he's right behind them, and then they take another 30 seconds to recite the poem and give each other.
Well, she was losing her memory though.
Oh, and Basil's like, "All right, bro, I'll give you your moment," and then just come in after the fact. I mean, whatever. It is what it is, but that wasn't my favorite. That's for sure.
Do you find there's a lot of points in these episodes that it's been like something really dramatic, and I like keeping this dramatic scene, and then just something randomly weird or funny tries to happen, and I'm like, okay, I get like it's the kind of like Marvel where it's like, here's some humor, so you're not too sad about something.
Naked Smilo Ren trying to have a serious conversation.
Yeah, kinda. I was just like, I just want to let me enjoy this emotional thing that you're trying to give me really quick, and not try to pull me out of it for a little second. Like,
there was a lot of different things that they threw into the show and into the Star Wars universe that people are not used to. Just because of there is a lot of realism to this show more than other Star Wars projects. I feel like there's a lot more culture from our world in this show more than any other project that I've seen. For example, Smilo Ren, taking a bath. No one really saw that coming. That probably would have happened on Game of Thrones or something. But not on Star Wars. We've never really
technically we've seen C-3PO get an oil bath. So
okay,
I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, we've seen C-3PO exposing all his parts, man.
So
especially on that Topps card
was exactly, David.
Okay.
Just turn around, Craig, and pull the card out. We all know you got it.
You have one?
No, I don't have one of those.
Oh man. Anyway,
so. On a scale from 1 to 10 of going back to that, for me, I think this episode, I'm going to give a solid 8.5. Just because of the main plot, I think, has been completed. We know now what really happens. It was covered up again.
Yeah.
And because of that has led down the path to the future. But the reason why I'm not giving it a 10 is because of the misleading of the fact that we were told it was going to end on a satisfying ending where it was like, oh yeah, like it's not going to, land on a cliffhanger. And it absolutely did. 100%. I mean, think about it.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah, for like a new plot perspective. I see where you're coming from, man.
Okay.
I see where you're coming from.
With people like thinking about like Jedi in general, I know how people feel about the way Luke is as a Jedi, and like later episodes ending up messing with that history of him being a Jedi. Do you feel like this is doing something like that for the prequels, where now we're seeing very esteemed Jedi lie like nothing else? And I don't think that we've ever had like anything on screen where it shows like, they'll lie to a whole council, and literally upon like the whole galaxy, people who are under this control right now or protection have all been lied to basically. And I'm like, it's very interesting to see that. And in my mythology, especially at this time for the Jedi, it's like, would they do that? Is that something that they would do? Like, I get we're bringing a little bit more humanity into it, but I've always seen them as like, you have Luke being Buddhist kind of person, and then like you have prequel era, which is like super intense, but prequel era still had like all the political stuff going into it. And then even before that, it is the highest point where it's like super religious, super good people all the time. But it's very interesting to start seeing this on screen and being like, it kind of seems like they're doing a lot of stuff where I would be like, are you really meant to do that? Is that really what you should be doing? That kind of stuff.
Well, the more people you have, the more like different personalities and
This is
actions
true.
you're gonna get. Because I mean, look at our reality. I mean, there's so many people on the planet right now. There's so many Star Wars fans now compared to the 70s, 80s, and 90s that you have like all these like different reactions to this show. Especially, some people love it, some people hate it, some people in the middle. Some people are just like, why aren't they just doing what? Like kind of like me and Zach, we talk about the slam dunk thing. It's like do Plagueis. We finally got Plagueis just tonight. I'm 42 years old, man. I've been watching Star Wars since I was 4 years old. But I mean, we got the Plagueis mention, of course, in the early 2000s. So it's only been, I guess, almost 20 years. But I mean, still, I mean, I've been waiting a long time for certain things, and it's like we're barely getting the flow here. But it seems like they're listening, though. It seems like the more and more we go. I mean, but going back to Josh's point, I mean, the more people you have, the more potential you have for bad eggs. And that really mirrors what we have here on Earth. A lot of people compare the Jedi to cops, and I see a lot of that in these Jedi.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, I don't know if you've gone into, like Vanessa's stuff, like, or...
Yeah, she was super clean, super pure.
Yeah, super clean, super pure. Like, and it ranges her entire life. Like, it's insane. And then, like, I go and watch this, I'm kind of like, okay, like, I get you're doing it for Soul, but I'm kind of like...
So, something as well about her outfit.
I'm confused. What do you mean by doing it for Soul?
As in, everyone is now, like, in the Jedi in general, are now protected. As in, now we can just be like, we're going to blame this on Soul. We're going to be like, no one's going to go ahead and look into this. And I'm kind of like, so is it her choosing, like, the Jedi as their own self as better people? Or is it as if, like, hey, we're going to be, like, actual protectors of everyone? And I feel like she's choosing the religion over being the protector, which is very interesting to me.
I think she's picking the reputation of the religion above the religion.
Well, that's
itself.
why that whole comment when she's talking to the senator and he's like, it seems like unlike power that you're keeping to yourself, and I was like, oh, cool. I wonder if this is going to come up again, and it did at the end, where I was like, oh, very interesting.
I want to talk about her outfit at the end because her outfit looked very, very much like a senator, and that also kind of, to me, reflects how political she is going to be going forward if a season 2 does happen.
Because she had to report to a lot of the politics, right? I mean, kind of throughout the show, she was the only one really making contact with the politicians.
That outfit is she looked more
member?
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Is she a member of the main council, like the 12 Jedis or whatever?
No, not the High Council.
So
no.
Which is interesting, right? Because that means that, even though she's been a Jedi for 100 years, she's keeping secrets from them.
And she was a prodigy when she was younger.
Well, to me, it sounds like she has a very similar role as the Jedi Elzar Man from the other High Republic books, because he was in the position as she was in the books, to where, like, they would just go out and Soul's Force Ghost is gonna hunt. Okay.
Why does it make me look bad?
No. Man. No, and with the potential of having a second season, there's a lot from the High Republic books that I want to see. And then, as the seasons move on, we'll get closer and closer and closer to the actual prequels, and we'll see more. I'm just curious of what this time gap is going to be. Like, how far down the line are we going to be from this point of where we leave off in season 1? Just because I think the ultimate goal of the show would to, it leads directly into the Phantom Menace.
You think they're going to get that close? Because that would mean we'd have to have Palpatine.
Well, I think eventually we will get Palpatine.
Yep.
I think
that
eventually,
seed.
Yeah, I like it. It honestly makes sense. Like, and it's so funny because right now it doesn't seem like it, but I think the show is going all the way back to that line. Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? That is what eventually the show is going to be about, where it will mainly be about Darth Plagueis.
I think, the end game is
I
that.
mean, that'd be incredible if that happens.
Yes. That is what people want. And for me personally, I think with all the projects that have happened so far, I think the closest one where it was like the dark side point of view of was the first couple of missions of Iden Versio and the Star Wars Battlefront 2 campaign, of where it was like, here is you being part of the dark side, and then some of the campaign and squadrons. But I want a full story, a live action story where it's like we are getting the full evil side, to where they don't turn to the light side. They are part of the dark side, because it is not just the light side 24/7. It's not. And I think they have the perfect opportunity to bring Darth Plagueis in to show you why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, if I put my producer hat on, I'm thinking movies for Plagueis, the whole Plagueis arc.
Yeah, because we had that whole. If you've ever read that script for the original like Duel of Fates thing, it had Plagueis's master in it, and I've always wondered, like, they have a lot of written, unwritten lore for him that I'm sitting here like, is there ever a point where we could just do like a movie? That'd be really nice for me.
Yeah.
I can totally see it, man. Do a Plagueis, a full arc live action.
Yeah.
In the movies. They want to do movies. Get a young Palpatine in there. I think it would work. And all the kids that grew up with the prequels now have adult money to spend, and they're going to spend the money to watch a prequel era thing in the theater, and I'm here for it. I mean, get Plagueis in there.
Tom Hiddleston.
He's too old now, I think. He's going to be too old.
Yeah.
I think so.
He is, yeah. It's a cool idea.
I want more of an unknown actor, like they do with Game of Thrones, Yeah. I like how a lot of those actors, you don't really know who they are, and so...
Yeah.
Get a nice young Brit.
Yeah. Well, and what if Plagueis has, like, recruited Palpatine to kill Chimere, because Chimere's getting too attached with Osha, and I don't know.
I feel like we lose Chimere way before that. Like, maybe. Like, yeah, I don't think Chimere makes it out. I think he's going to die before we get to the Palpatine stuff.
Yeah.
That's just my feeling.
If I had to speculate, I'd say somewhere in the middle of the second season. And then Plagueis kind of takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when Chimere does go, I think it's going to be in a place of where the audience will be rooting for him, and it's going to happen when we least expect it, and then Plagueis will, go do his thing. But with that being said, where is Osha gonna fit in all of this? Where is May gonna fit in
off screen? They don't have to use the two people to play one character now, so they took care of that problem. Bring back Amanda Stenberg as the Acolyte. She doesn't have to work as hard now. Now we can just concentrate. Acolyte, apprentice, master. It's now the rule of 3. Obi Fluff Kenobi on YouTube says, is Vanessa trying to... I just lost it. I hit a button on my keyboard.
How'd we do on our
trying to cover up her own failures?
I
was hoping for Plagueis.
I was hoping, but I didn't think he'd show up.
And on the pre-show, I thought Soul was going to die.
Too soon.
I think I did predict Plagueis would show up.
Yes.
I said there was a 65% chance Plagueis was going to show up tonight.
I think I said no.
Yeah. I love percentages, Craig.
I was very strong on the idea of Plagueis being in it, just because I wasn't expecting him to have a large role. I just wanted him to be hinted at, because it just made sense. If you didn't have Plagueis hinted, then it would have been like, man, even a mention or something would have been great. But as soon as I saw the hand, I was like, oh, that has to be. I did not think, for the life of me, I did not think.
I'll bring it up. We're late enough. Let me share the screen here. Right here.
Yeah. I did not think that the next scene was gonna actually show him. I did not think for the life of me. And as soon as I saw the head shape, I was like, holy crap, son of a bantha. Yeah. They did it. They actually did it. And I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought it would have been of like where we would have saw his shadow or something. But the fact that we actually got him on the island is insane, which also begs the question, why is he there? Is he spying? Is he that's something that I would love to explore. And that's why I really, really hope that we get a second season, because Darth Plagueis is going to be such a menacing thing. And I feel like we're going to see a lot of Palpatine in Plagueis in some form, in some way, just because, he's the one that, taught him. So,
but it would depend upon how far after this season it is, right? It would have to take place more in the future to get Palpatine.
Do we know what planet this is yet?
We're all assuming Baldemnik. That's the Legends area where Plagueis does kill Tenebris.
Yeah. Okay.
But what's up with Plagueis' skin there? Does he have like octopus skin or something? He's the same color of that mountain.
Can you go back to the frame with his hand that you see in the light? Like right
I'll try and go back. Face? Yeah.
Does he have more than 5 fingers?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, maybe not.
But I count.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So they're almost at the. They're pretty much on the ship by the time he comes out.
Right. So yeah.
Can you play a little more?
I think it's just 5 fingers.
Yeah, well, we're counting the fingers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like 5 to me.
All right, I appreciate it. I had to look.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's what I care about, but I guess
But he looks really good, though.
He does. He looks great. He looks straight out of the actual cover from the book.
Yeah, he looks super menacing, super evil.
Look corny.
Yeah.
Even though he's a moon, he doesn't.
That's it right there, Craig. He does not look corny. We've seen a lot of corny interpretations of him on Google, so.
You can even see his Sith eyes too.
Yeah,
that's what like if you look, you can see the hint of the yellow and red eyes, and I was like, yes.
I'm shocked Chimere didn't have any
like
eyes
the moon.
Of that color.
That's why I don't think that he's actually being trained by him. That's the main, like him saying like, not only am I, you might call me Sith, but I'm probably not. And he wants an acolyte. I genuinely think that if Plagueis ever had an interaction with him, yes, it might have been a dark side thing. But I genuinely think that he went off on his own after whatever happened with his old master. Decided to like take whatever teachings he had and have his own acolyte. I genuinely feel like either Plagueis has never met him or only very briefly, because he still doesn't have any Sith eyes.
Yeah,
he doesn't seem like an entirely bad person, even though he killed tons of Jedi.
I agree with what Josh said. That is a very, very likely scenario that's going on. Chimere might not even know that Plagueis is there. We all know that Baldemnik has that connection, and it's unknown planet still, so they could name it anything. But the way that he is like hiding in the shadows, it can very much lend itself to what Josh just said, that they've never met. It's almost maybe like a coincidence, and maybe there's a vergence there too, or I don't know.
Maybe Plagueis picked up Osha in the Force.
That's what I think, because
I was about to say that too. Yeah.
So he went there looking for her.
Yeah. Well, so I think maybe Plagueis sensed what Chimere was doing, and I think he's been following this entire journey of this season behind the scenes to see. I mean, because I think maybe not only is Chimere on the hunt for a pupil, but Plagueis as well. So maybe he's trying to figure out, like, would Osha be a better person, or would Chimere? I could see that happening. Yeah,
I think it's something to do with Osha and May being closer together now. Their Vergence in the Force is becoming so big that I think it's actually bringing Plagueis out, and I think the main reason might just be because they are born from the Force. It's something that we know that Plagueis has wanted to learn for a very long time, and I think that would be why he's taking an interest in them. I don't even think it's for. I think it's literally just for Osha and May coming together.
Yeah, I like that angle.
And maybe that's where he gets the of the whole Virgins thing and everything. That's where he gets the inspiration because it's been legends, it's been rumored, it's not 100% canon that Anakin was created by Darth Plagueis. It's been hinted at, but there's been so many stuff behind the scenes where it was said that Anakin was not created by Darth Plagueis. This could be the thing.
I actually asked Rick McCullum that at Star Wars weekends at Disney, and he said to me, on stage, I say yes, George says no.
Okay. Well,
those were his exact words. I'll never forget it.
Was this after George got his big check from Disney?
Probably not. Probably not.
Jeez.
This was Star Wars weekends.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Yeah.
Fair
So,
enough.
Oh yeah. This was way back in the day.
Zach, I don't even know if you were alive yet.
Probably not.
I miss Star Wars weekends. Star Wars weekends were awesome.
Dude, it was so much fun. I love Star Wars weekends.
God, Colin, I don't know if you were alive either when they started.
I don't
Yes,
even. I never
was.
knew this was a thing.
Craig, how old do you think I am?
I don't know, 27?
28.
Okay. All right. So how long ago did they do this? Did they start Star Wars weekends? Man, I feel like I was in my early 20s when they were doing that.
When they
It was in
started
the
or
90s?
when they ended?
Yeah.
I was born in 1996. They were doing like the full out Star weekend, like of the Star Wars weekends, shortly after they started doing Star Tours: The Adventure Continues, and I was definitely alive for that.
It was active up until 2015.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah.
Because the original one was in 1997.
Yeah, but
When
Rick,
did-
Rick
2000
McCallum though. I mean,
When
Rick
did
McCallum
Revenge-
was involved in the prequels, and that was
Yes.
in
97.
99.
And he was
Born
at
yet,
Star
but-
Wars weekends. So obviously it was after Revenge of the Sith. So what year would that have been?
So it went
05
from
was
1997, then it took a break to
yes.
2000 to 2001,
Yeah.
then another break, and then went from 2003 all the way to 2015.
They still got all the costumes, right?
Yeah.
So it started in
Maybe.
1997.
That's a deep inside thing.
Jeez. No, man, no, it's so crazy to think about of just where we are now, because if you told me that we were gonna see Darth Plagueis on screen like a long time ago, I would have been like, nah, probably not gonna happen. So the fact that we finally got it is so cool.
Yeah.
I
Even if
am
it's two
so
little
happy.
frames, like it was
That's
incredible.
fine.
He looked
I
so
will
good.
take it. Like,
I'll take that. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
That takes the series up a whole nother notch. Just seeing
yes,
that.
just
Yeah.
having
Now
him
we
there.
know it's tied together.
Part of
Yeah.
me was hoping he'd show up and kind of like stand in and do something, but I'm almost glad he didn't, because it just leaves us kind of wanting more.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Richard on YouTube says, if Plagueis did get inspiration from the Coven to manipulate the Force to create a being, is not splitting the newly created being into two what made Anakin the chosen one?
Maybe Anakin had a twin. Maybe Anakin had a twin
I
brother.
don't- see,
and
the-
we'll
the-
see him in one of them. I'm just kidding. No.
The thing with all these people talking about Chosen One and Anakin, I think it has nothing to do with Chosen One Anakin. Nothing.
No.
Nothing whatsoever. I think people are kind of reaching there.
We actually still don't know what the full prophecy of the Chosen One is. If you look at any fact book, like so we know that
Someone
he's
that's going to
supposed
bring balance to the Force.
right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
there's more to the prophecy than that. We know that, but they have never said it.
But we do know Anakin is the Chosen One for sure. That's an absolute,
Yes,
like a Sith,
but-
yeah.
But I'm talking about the full prophecy. Hang on, I'm gonna book you.
Because I remember, like, Lucas's original interpretation of the Force is different to the way that, like, we think of the Force now, and it was almost as if, like, two entities fighting and using, like, two different people to, like, fight over who would be the best.
Like
And
the
I remember-
Mortis, like
Yes.
the brother and the sister.
Yes. So I've always wondered, like, where are we right now with the Force? It's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, and I wonder if Plagueis knew about that witch coven before we see him kind of creeping on Chimere at all. Because I don't know
I
if he
think
has
so.
any like, what if he's got no idea that May and Osha were tied to that? Maybe he does, but we maybe that's a happy little accident. He discovers getting to know Osha more.
Yeah,
he-
so
I
the
don't
big
know.
question out there that we now have was, did Plagueis intervene in the witch coven and that vengeance on Brendock, maybe assisting or helping in some way creating the two that was the one, or was that thing just drawing him? Like we're all kind of speculating. Maybe he sensed the two that was the one, and that whole thing.
Do you think he could have had anything to do with the surge of power that Osha got from putting on the helmet?
Yeah, I definitely do. He was in a cave. She was in a cave.
A lot of caves. Yeah, I don't know. That could be a stretch.
Yeah, what did you guys think about that scene? It was. Really
I'm gonna have to rewatch it again because I was like, "What's going on here?"
I didn't expect it, and I don't have any problems with it, but it kind of caught me off guard. Like, holy crap! Like all of a sudden, because she's so disconnected from the Force, and then all of a sudden it's just bang, just like that. Like, Kymir's pretty powerful, and he was useless.
Kymir's eyes went black.
Yes, like Torben's.
Yeah. So was somebody doing that to him, or what was she doing that to him?
Or what was around Kymir did that. He was in that mindset.
I thought that was Coral. I thought that was the other mother. I thought she was just gonna come out of the shadows, and then I've just been like, oh, okay. So she's been behind everything.
So Leslie Headland did a roundtable like a couple days ago, and she revealed that Coral has nothing to do with the finale. And it was like, oh man, she dropped a spoiler. But I mean,
she dropped a lot of spoilers. To be honest,
she got pretty spoilery.
I think they were feeling so much pressure from the negativity that she felt like she had to give spoilers.
Yeah, I hate the negativity out there. It's like, come on, guys. Just wait until you see the final thing.
I'm really curious.
Was this the best episode of the series, or was it episode 5?
I think it's still episode 5.
I thought that, like, the cortosis or whatever it is, I thought that metal, like, the way they've kind of showed it was, like, you put that on, nothing gets out from you, but you gain super focus. Because you never see him fight without his helmet on or show off any, like, of his main abilities without that helmet on.
Right.
So I genuinely think it's more like you're contained to yourself. And what she was seeing was, like, literally the future because, like, it contains how much, like, of her force power she actually has.
Right. She only took what she brought with her, and she brought the super huge power of the Force. She's super sensitive in the Force.
Anger, just rage.
Yeah. So Jordy is still asking here on YouTube, Jordy 1994. So who's the chosen one? Could Osha and May technically count too? No. That's yeah. Matt Skywalker on YouTube says, how did the bingo card end up? We're going to look over it and come to a consensus on what counts, what doesn't count, but send in your bingo card.
We'll have a better one.
Yeah.
We'll have a better one for the skeleton crew.
We're going to have like spots like kids, adults, a ship, a cup,
lightsaber,
a speeder, a Tuca.
So I want to talk about the other big cameo, which we were told was not going to show up in the show at all, which was Yoda. I did not have any doubt that Yoda was going to show up just because it made sense.
You had some doubt, Colin, because Leslie Headland said that he's not going to show up essentially.
I don't believe anything that people say anymore.
Right.
Do you know how many actors and directors have lied, say, hey, this isn't happening, this isn't happening. Oh, that's definitely not happening. And sure enough, boom. Here we go.
NDAs.
Mic drop. Yoda, Plagueis, all this stuff. A lot of stuff that they said wasn't going to happen did happen. So I was like, okay.
Fair enough, Colin. Fair enough.
But with Yoda being in there, I like the first thing I noticed, which we talked about at the beginning of the show, was I think we talked about off camera. The puppet that they used for it has the same shape as the same one that they used in The Last Jedi, which I thought was really cool that they reused like something like that and didn't do them animated just because it made, which if they do it in the next season, it's going to have to, I mean, would you guys rather have a puppet or would you rather have him be animated at that point? If we
it depends on what he's doing. If he's
puppet.
just in a chair, I'd want him to be a puppet. If he's doing stuff, I'd want him to not be a puppet. Yeah, that looks like The Last Jedi puppet for sure.
He doesn't look any younger.
Yeah, I thought his hair might be maybe a little bit more salt and peppery.
Thought they're gonna put like a nice little rug on top. But no.
So okay, what do you think Yoda was doing this whole time? Just sitting in a chair upstairs while everyone is like in the basement figuring out what's going on? Like,
yeah, man, he was washing his robes.
They're sipping their blue milk up there in the council chambers, and everybody in the basement is figuring out like how to cover up this murder mystery.
Dunking their light side, dark side Oreos.
It's product placement, guys. We got to put it in there.
Yeah, I don't know what this is. This like the first shot of Yoda's room? I mean, it's very Steve Jobs-esque.
That Yoda talks to Obi-Wan in when he's walking and going back and forth, like after Qui-Gon died and arguing with.
Yeah, that was a huge room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was wearing his garb there.
So this is what he looked during like the High Republic. He like did have some white hair.
But this is more close towards of the prequels than what of the picture. For the people that are listening, I'm showing a picture from the High Republic character encyclopedia.
Legendary Grand Master.
Master Yoda. Yeah. So I thought that that having Yoda in there was really cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool hint.
It was a great
I just had it. I'm just processing because it's just like there really was a lot that happened in here, and then having Yoda, kind of show up at the end was cool. I was hoping for like an after credit scene like we got at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. This
was kind of it. It went to black and then they showed this. So
I know,
it was a
but I would
quasi
have loved
after credit
scene.
Right.
How crazy would it have been to see an after credit scene with Plagueis though?
That is what I'm talking about. I would have loved a shot of where
too much money, Craig.
You've got Osha and Chimere kind of staring off.
Yeah.
You got the same shot, and then the camera pans up to like a cliffside, and Plagueis is just standing there.
I would have liked that I would have liked that to be his entrance. Just cut and paste that clip to him poking his head out after you see Osha and Chimere holding hands.
Right. I would have. Yeah, because I think of just having the hand shot could have been like cool and stuff, and then the end credit scene would have been just having the full like shot of Plagueis just standing there and just overlooking, and then that would have been like. But I think they didn't do that because they didn't want to be like, whoa, we didn't want to leave the ship we didn't want to leave the show on a cliffhanger. So I understand where they're coming from, but again, I think they did. I think they really did. I think they are going to leave the audiences wanting more. I think the people that were on the show right away, like, you know what, I don't like this show. The show was terrible. I think getting all the way to this point, or even if they just skip ahead and watch this episode in particular, people are like, I want a second season now. And I think that's just going to be like, you guys got to wait. You have to be patient. You have to see where the plot is going. You cannot just judge something right away. You like have to give it time.
I mean, people were bashing it before an episode even came out. So I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why they even allow that. Like, how are you going to allow people to rate it when it's not even out yet? They need to have some system in place.
Okay, so here's the big question, I think. Here's the big question, I think. Season 2, if Disney greenlights it, do you bring Leslie Headland back?
Yes.
Or you go a new direction?
I feel like you'd have to
bring her back.
Messy.
This is her idea.
Well, you could do what they did of what they did in The Mandalorian, right? So you had Jon Favreau that really helped create this story, and Dave Filoni was there. Have her do the same, but this season have different directors come in and do different episodes like they did in The Mandalorian.
Well, they did that with the Acolyte.
We could tell with Mando season
3 they had different directors
suffered from like the lack of creative input from like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Not saying that couldn't be the same for the Acolyte, but
do you want a season 2 of the Acolyte, or do you rather want like a Plagueis thing? Because that's what I think that like.
That's what everyone kind of wants now.
Yeah, I don't like because after this episode, I don't know how many of us are really going to be like, I really need a season 2 for everything else besides Plagueis. It's like a lot of people are like,
but they already closed everything else, though.
Here's my thoughts.
They tied a bow on it, so
they will call it Acolyte. They're not going to call it Plagueis, right? Because now everybody knows the show. They don't want to give momentum and try and because people get confused.
They need to call it Plagueis.
No,
if they call
like
it
Mandalorian Grogu, everyone's gonna go see that because it's called Mandalorian Grogu. Everyone's gonna want to watch the Plagueis TV show,
but it's not
just like Vader, just like Yoda. I mean,
Plagueis the Wise would be a sweet movie name.
But they want to get all the average people interested in Star Wars, and if they call season 2 of Acolyte, Plagueis, everybody's going to be confused. So I think they'll just call it season 2 of the Acolyte, even if it is more focused on Plagueis.
If the numbers are accurate,
name it to something like the birth of something or something like something weird. Like I don't think they would do because I think the story that we would follow in a season 2 wouldn't have anything really to do with Plagueis because I think it would be much more because I don't really think that they're connected at all. I genuinely think it would be like them going off and figuring out how what's an acolyte to them, and I don't think Plagueis would come to deal with anything with them. Maybe until they got too powerful or something.
Well,
if that's not Chimere's master.
I genuinely don't think it is. Just because no Sith eyes, and it really seems like they might be connected, but not too well.
Chimere was super powerful for not being a full-blown Sith.
Yeah,
it was the helmet, man.
That's why I think it's the helmet. Yeah,
the Cortosis.
I think that there's so many things that were tied up in a bow, like David said. Boom, gone. Great. Now, with that being said, there was also a lot of new stories that have opened. We have the cover-up story. We are seeing more of the prequel Jedi, type situation of where they are corrupt by the Senate. That's going to be a big thing going forward. Absolutely. And then you have everything happening with the dark side. We have everything, happening with Osha, learning to use the dark side more. We have, stuff happening with Darth Plagueis. There's going to be a lot in that season 2, and I think Matt Skywalker has a very good thing. Each season could have a different title. So it would be the Acolyte, and then beneath it would be, something different. So this one could be the Acolyte Plagueis. Like, that's not bad. It could be Plagueis the Wise. Something in the lines that would draw people in. But, like, every season would just be, like, a different name to it. Kind of like how we have with the movies. If they
say Darth, you want to put Darth in there. That name gets people like, oh, Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Acolyte, Seeds of Corruption.
And the other funny thing is that they didn't use Plagueis by name, so could you imagine just seeing
that's what I'm
on screen?
that was the banker on the Unknown Planet. What are you guys talking about?
So worried about that. I'd be like,
can you imagine of being like, listen, we love all your excitement, but that's not Plagueis.
That's why I was looking for the credits. I was like, somewhere in the credits, please, bro, please.
That was Chimere's personal accountant.
I don't have a name.
That alien just has a retirement home on the island, and he was just curious of what was going on. That's like, can you imagine him just saying that? Of just being like, Darth Plagueis, we actually never said his name, so it could be anyone.
Gosh, dude, he looks so good though. Like, I still haven't gotten over that.
But
he
listen,
looked incredible.
The way that
they pulled it off.
The show, there weren't a lot of shocks. Like everything that we kind of thought might be the answer was the answer. All along the way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That wasn't her attitude with this show, was having these shocking reveals. So if you think about it, because everything we kind of suspected would happen, it wasn't like this big shocking moment about Chimere or that, he was, you know what I mean? Like early in the season, we were just like, what if it's this? What if it's that? The things that we kind of suspected kind of happened.
I think there were some plot twists. Like
I didn't think everyone would die that was on the friggin' poster.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. I was not.
That was crazy.
Of seeing Yor just get his neck snapped. That was like
no, but
I mean,
it's like okay, like when the episode with May being led by Chimere through the jungle, everybody was like, "Is it really Chimere or is it another guy?" It
was obvious it was. That's why I was hoping it wasn't.
Yeah.
But when it ended up being him, And as soon as he started talking, and like he just kind of had this like really different personality from like of the person that he was playing before, where he was misleading May. So I thought that was really, really cool on how the actor really played that role, and he did such a great job. I just was in love with the way that he played the character, of where it's not your simple Darksider. I think there's more human to him, more than just like, I hate everything, the dark side is my power and stuff like that. Like, we're so used to villains like that, where they're mainly attached to the dark side so much to where they are like, that's their personality. And I felt like there was more to Chimere than that, and I think that's what really worked for him.
He was like the inverse to Yoda.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I like that too, Colin. I thought it made it like it gave a complexity to it. But the other thing, if you think about it, is Palpatine said he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying. So unless that was an outright lie, then that gives some complexity to Plagueis, that he has people he cares about.
But who does Plagueis care about?
The ratings.
The banking clan.
I like how you read into it like that. That's an interesting way. I always thought that was like a little like, you know, I know what you want to do. I didn't know if that was like actually like a he does care about people. I always thought it was like I know that you're trying to keep people from dying. I can feel it from you. So
I thought it was an outright lie too.
I thought there was a similarity, like, so in the book that's Legends, you do see a lot of similarities between Darth Plagueis and you know, Sheev Palpatine. So in my mind, I always thought that there was always a little bit of Plagueis in the way that Palpatine was, because he learned from him. Just like Obi-Wan learned from Qui-Gon, there is a tiny bit of Qui-Gon in his teachings to Anakin, and so on and so forth, like of how you're passing it on to the next generation. So that was always my mindset when Darth Plagueis was mentioned in episode 3. It was like, okay, so Darth Plagueis, you know, taught him things, and, you know, Palpatine is a little bit like Plagueis in some way. So that's what I'm looking forward to when we do see Plagueis on screen, because I'm going to be like, that is a big personality trait that Chancellor Palpatine had. And then also, you know, in Legends, he posed as a senator. So that's most likely where Chancellor Palpatine got the idea. And then he was like, well, if I become, you know, Chancellor Palpatine, I can like have more power. And I think Plagueis gives him the idea. Like, again, there's so many possibilities down the road. So I'm super excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out here to Front Row King. He just joined our Patreon, so he's one of the top tier members now. So shout out to Front Row King.
All that begging paid off, David.
We didn't beg.
Now we can have
just
Twitter.
give out great content. What do you mean?
I did the begging for David a couple weeks ago. Please, David is hungry. He can't afford his food.
So yeah, definitely support us on Patreon for new exclusive content, just like Front Row King at Star Wars Stuff Podcast 2187. Search us up on Patreon. Please.
He's so hungry.
I'm starving here.
The man is working 6 jobs.
So I think
almost
we're at pizzas at 2:00 in the morning. Somebody pay for the Patreon.
Okay, so I think we're at the point now of this episode of where I think we can give our rating of the show. Do you think we're at that stage, or do we still need time to process everything?
I could give.
I'm still saying 9.
Rating, but I can't give the
of the entire
9.
show.
9.
I give an 8. I'll give an 8 for the whole series.
Okay.
I stand by that.
I could go with an 8.
Yeah, 8. Josh?
Even though some people will think we're absolutely nuts.
No?
Josh is at a 4, a solid 4.
No, I'm saying like a 6 on the show. 6. Definitely not the best show. However, what I say is it has probably the best choreography of any of the shows that we've seen so far. Yeah. I think that the lightsaber fights were insanely good, and that's definitely where I will say like that is what the meat of this show really was for me.
Yeah.
Is just
Same.
these lightsaber fights had me like, dude, all right, now I'm more invested in the show.
Right.
But remember, a 6 is still an F.
We're not in
gotta
school,
give
Craig.
It a 6.5 to even give it a B minus.
I will say
there's definitely episodes in this where I'm like, this is a 2 on my scale, dude. Like this is bad. But then like I would say for me, 6. Solid 6.
I will say I'm gonna change my answer and I'm gonna give it a 7, and it's exactly what you think. Why? It's because they did my boy Kelnaka dirty. I think they should have given him more screen time. I think they.
when I saw that episode and he was just dead, I was just like, "Oh, poor Colin."
I think we all thought that to some extent.
No, I mean I'm so happy for Jonas, just because of he hasn't donned, as Chewbacca since Rise of Skywalker, and who knows when the next time Chewbacca is coming on screen or anything. So when we got a hint that Kelnaka, that this Wookiee was going to be a character, I was like, please let it be Jonas. And sure enough, it was.
He's played Chewbacca in 4 separate movies. That's a whole lot of Chewbacca there.
Since Rise of Skywalker?
No. For like The Force Awakens, he was there with Peter Mayhew once.
I know that.
And then The Last Jedi, he was
Skywalker, David.
He was piloting.
David,
but why are you omitting the 2 movies before then? He's done Chewie a lot.
It's just been a minute since he donned the fur. I
just said since Rise of Skywalker. Were you not listening?
Yeah, but I mean, he's done other movies though. I mean, he's done a lot already. It's great that he did ACOLYTE as another Wookiee. And Leslie Headland confirmed that he did all his own stunts because there's no one in the world that could probably fit in that suit that does stunts.
Okay, but yes. So, okay. But having him in the suit again was just such a big deal for me, just because of having a Wookiee presence in Star Wars. It started all the way back in 1977, and with Andor and with Mando and stuff like that, I was like, and then we had Black Chrysanthemum, which was great, but I was like, I want more Wookiees. So the fact that we got a Jedi Wookiee was so cool, and it was awesome. He was a tank, even though he died off screen.
We still don't even know how that died. That kind of stunk.
Was he eating his soup?
Saber to the chest.
Was he eating his soup that he was making, and then all of a sudden he turned around, and then Chimera was like, ah.
Yeah, just a spit take, and then you hear him get sliced across the chest.
He didn't even get to finish his food. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's
so
tough.
I'm gonna say 7 out of 10.
Yeah. I think initially, right now at this point in time, it might change, but I think I'll give it a 6.5 overall. The episode, I'd probably give it a 7. There's a lot I liked. Some things that weren't my favorite, but overall, I mean, I'd give it a thumbs up overall. I'd recommend it to someone who likes Star Wars. It's, it wasn't perfect, but Star Wars isn't known for being perfect.
So much better. I think this season was so much better than Mandalorian season 3. That was oh my god! I regretted staying up till 3:00 in the morning every week. I was like, when is the good episode gonna come?
Really?
And they listened to us, and they put the shows on at a decent time.
Yeah, season 3 I did not like of Mando. Now I love season 2 and I love season 1, but
I think Josh and I had a very different experience of watching the shows early in the morning, because shortly after that, him and I would both go to work at Galaxy's Edge, and that just hyped us up even more. Well, it hyped me up more, Josh. I don't know how much I hyped you up more, but it definitely hyped me up, because it's I'm going from watching different Star Wars projects, and then I'm going to work in the world of Star Wars, and same as Force be with you all day. So yeah, so I just I miss that aspect of going in and be like, hello travelers, bright suns, may the Force be with you, and I would just do that all day, and it was the greatest thing. So
Alexandros Theodorus on YouTube says trash.
No,
fair. I mean,
is he talking about the podcast or the ACOLYTE?
Talking about
sorry.
Kanaka's death.
Yeah.
We're trying to get Patreon members. David is so hungry.
You would probably feel better if you signed up for Patreon. I mean, yeah, no, man, I really hope that we get a season 2, but fear not, there is more Star Wars coming out this year, because we have the game
Christmas
Star Wars
present.
Outlaws. We have the game
that I might
Star Wars
play
Outlaws
next week.
coming out. Yes. David will be at San Diego Comic-Con. So he'll be seeing, a bunch of stuff for the game. I know the panel is specifically for the game and books. Not anything about Skeleton Crew. They have not said anything about Skeleton Crew.
We got this coin that accidentally released early.
Well,
and a Lego set.
That's the thing, though, is that you both are right. There is going to be merchandise coming out, very soon,
August
near
1st.
the end of the summer, and in the fall, before the show comes out, I guess, because they haven't announced exactly when. But Star Wars
they made all that stuff last year, and then it's all just sitting on their shelves. They're like, dude, we gotta move this stuff.
They probably made it 2 years ago.
Well, so on most of their social media platforms, Star Wars has actually reshared, how of the days counting down to D23. So with that coming up, most likely they'll probably have more panels and stuff there that will be about Skeleton Crew and potential future projects for Star Wars, which is exactly what they did.
That Skeleton Crew is going to be like a Goonies kind of show.
Dude, Goonies, E.T.
That's what we got.
Amblin Studio vibe. That is what they said at the panel. And
I love
Josh,
Goonies.
David, and I all looked at each other and we were just like, yes, please.
Stranger Things.
Practical effects. Bill Tibbett, let's go. Bring it on. I'm so excited for that show. That show is going to be sick.
And an Ortolan child with 4 limbs.
Let's put that on the bingo card.
I'm so excited.
Oh yeah, we gotta. Okay, so guys, we got to redo this bingo card to make it super simple. So we're gonna have a ship, a cup. I think we talked about that.
Speeder. Yeah.
Yeah, Speeder.
No. Yeah.
Jude Law.
A flashlight.
And Ortolan.
We have Star Wars
Space.
Outlaws coming out at the end of August, and then we have potentially, because they haven't released it, but most likely it's going to be Skeleton Crew.
They said Christmas, which is what I've been asking for every year. Give us a Christmas present. Give us a Star Wars show.
I am right, but things can always get pushed back. But
but you don't control Star Wars, David. So those are the big projects. I know there's young Jedi Adventures coming on Disney Plus, but yeah. Other than that, I don't think there's anything major coming out. I am excited for that game. I'm definitely gonna break down the game on a Twitch and everything. But yeah, are you gonna buy the $130 version?
I'm so mad about that. They're locking missions behind
dude.
that.
I've got Dragon Con coming up, so yeah.
So Emil here on YouTube says they didn't even tell us how the twins were created. They didn't even tell us how Chimera met May and what that training process was like. An incomplete chapter. I expected more.
Season
That's
2.
fair.
Season 2.
Flashbacks.
Oh.
Well, we got how she barely escaped from falling down the pit or whatever. She walked through the Bespin-esque tunnel.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
lit up.
That definitely reminded me of The Empire Strikes Back. So
And did you catch the "See you in hell" line? I mean, it was
Yes.
"See you in hell, Jedi," but it was like, ooh, okay, they threw that in.
Yeah, hell and ducks exist in Star Wars. Emil on YouTube, comment continue. Furthermore, there's nothing confirmed about a second season or about a cancellation for that same reason. I expected more about these last 2 chapters.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And then Jordy says right afterwards, when is Andor season 2 coming out? Next year, right? Next year, first quarter?
Yes. So
yeah.
That is why I'm waiting until D23, because at D23, they are going to have their own Star Wars panel. And I got a feeling it's going to be like the one they had in 2019, of where they're like, here's Mandalorian. Ewan is back as Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's getting his own show. So it's just like, they'll be cooking there.
And I got a feeling, guys. I got a feeling that Andor season 2 is going to even be way better than Andor season 1.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Andor
for
season
sure.
1 is super celebrated, universally loved by most. And I think the fact that we're going to get all the returning characters from Rogue One, essentially, probably Grand Moff Tarkin, probably Vader stuff. I mean, that's the hope. That's the dream.
So I think the thing and the beauty of Andor season 1 is that it didn't rely on the cameos. It didn't rely on that. It was just a good story. And I know Josh is about to say something, but I think that's why he really loved Andor, is that it didn't rely on, you know, on Darth Vader showing up or all these characters. Oh, Josh, go.
It didn't have people that knew Star Wars working on it.
Yeah.
They did not know Star Wars. And it's something that's interesting to me because I think almost every other person that like has made a show has been like, I'm a giant Star Wars fan and I know everything about Star Wars. And I'm kind of sitting here like, but I guess you do. But then like when you watch Andor, and I think for the majority of longtime fans, they would say like that is probably one of their absolute favorite ones. Like absolute favorite shows.
I was skeptical, and Josh knows this. Of those first 3 episodes, I was like, this is kind of slow. Like, but at the end of the 3rd episode, I was like, oh, okay. And then as soon as episode 4 hit, I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm all in. Let's go. But I was skeptical. But with everything that, you know, I just rewatched it a couple of months back, and I was like, this is fantastic. This is great storytelling.
I might need to do a rewatch.
I have.
There
I
are
haven't seen
so
it
many
since it came out.
great speeches in that show too.
Yeah,
From
the writing's terrific, of course.
yeah, from Kino Lorre's speech to
Stellan
to-
Skarsgård.
Yeah, so good, absolutely fantastic.
Unbelievable. Yeah, the show is incredible.
Does anyone play Andor in the background when they're doing other stuff?
Dude, I feel like
No,
that's not
I
something
don't
I play in
actually.
the background because I need to like lock in and pay attention to everything going on.
I play a lot of the music from all these shows when I'm working on projects. Like if like I'm sanding my armor, like of my custom Mandalorian armor, I'm listening to stuff from Andor and stuff because like I like to be immersed, and all the music from these shows are fantastic. I think season 3 was kind of weak. I will say that because Ludwig was not involved that much in that because he was focused on doing but
It's Paul Shirley, right?
Yeah.
So the Legacy of Nerd, he sent in a few comments here. He says, I would give the series a B. The online fandom, I give an F.
Yeah.
I can
It was
agree with
not
that.
good.
Pretty bad.
It was a rough start. Like as soon as they dropped that first trailer and someone's like, here's all the thumbs down, guys. Like what's going on with that? I was like, what is that about? Because I thought that trailer was like fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got to give the show a chance before. If you don't like it, that's fine, but at least give it a shot.
Yeah.
Like, why not give it a shot?
Matt Skywalker on YouTube says, when is D23? It is August 9th through the 11th.
Yep.
Essentially
And
on my birthday.
wife will be there. So I
Okay.
told her, you know, if you're going there and you end up getting the panel, try and get as much information as possible because she's going to be there firsthand. So, but yeah, no, I can't wait until that. And I can't wait until Star Wars Celebration next year. That's going to be a lot of fun. That whole convention is going to be a blast. And we had a lot of fun in London, and I loved and one of my favorite things about Celebration is seeing people's first reactions, and I love that was Josh's like first time going because of seeing him like at the panel for Visions, because he is a big fan of that type of stuff. So I'm just seeing his excitement. No. Oh, okay. All right.
What do you mean by that type of stuff?
Well, you are an artist in a way, and you. What? No. Okay. Fine.
That's like
Can
when
we
they're
say
I guess I don't know you. I guess I don't know
What's
you.
your favorite part of Star Wars? And literally every single actor was like, the fans. I love the fans.
Yeah.
It was funny because I'd look at Colin and be like, this guy says the fans.
Only fans?
Oh. Oi, podcast. Yeah.
That's a great moment.
Yeah.
So Spicy Flag on YouTube says, praying we get Rebels characters in Andor season 2.
I think the
possible.
biggest
Are there rumors
character-
out there about that?
I mean,
Well, I
anyone
mean,
heard? I don't
because
know.
they're in Rogue One, so
it makes sense having the same actress who plays Hera in the Ahsoka series. It would make sense to have her
Have Freddie
show
Prinze
up in
show
that.
up.
Yeah.
Depending on when they do the episode, that timeline could line.
I don't think they'll have Freddie Prinze Jr. show up.
I
That's
can
just
dream,
me.
Colin. Dang it.
Yeah, he said he quit Star Wars, which is
Yeah,
No, it's all
yeah.
good.
Why
I was,
would
I was
you?
like, I know. I think even having the picture of him on the
so
dashboard
cool.
and the ghost was even like, wow, they actually
Yeah.
use his
so
likeness.
technically
I was
Freddie
like, wow.
Prinze was in live
He's
action.
been dressed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Richard on YouTube says in the end, I think the show will be very similar among fans to The Last Jedi. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Where you either love it or hate it. I definitely haven't felt such divisiveness among the fandom since the movie came out. Yeah, it's like the TV show version of The Last Jedi, kind of. But I like the Acolyte more than The Last Jedi, maybe because I didn't see like one of my beloved heroes kind of act the total direct opposite way that I expected him to act. I guess that's it.
Fine. You know what? I feel the same way. It's gonna be 6. Max Rebo didn't show up. Like, I mean, come on. I'm just kidding.
And when he shows up, he's gonna hate music.
Don't you dare!
You
How
never
dare
know.
you? Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about? I choose to.
The bingo. card?
Overall, I thought it was a really interesting show, and I thought this show gave us a lot more to talk about than any of the other shows, other than maybe Mandalorian season 2.
Okay.
It was every week we were talking about these theories and where it was going, and it just, even if you didn't like the direction of it, it was really a unique show.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that.
for a fan, I'm a fan of the High Republic. However, I will say without Plagueis, there's more interesting stories in the books and comics than this ever was. Meaning, I had very high hopes for it because I thought it was going to relate heavily to the High Republic era. And it does, but of the things that are in the High Republic, I'm like, I would love a movie of that. I would love a show of that. And I hope that other people that don't read or don't want to look at the comics end up being able to enjoy what I did and the really cool stories that are in there by actually bringing it to live action.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the next president they bring in is like, we have all this content. Let's just make it live action. It's simple, and we get it all live action. Yeah,
It's right here, guys. It's right here.
Yeah. Spicy Flag on YouTube says I had to choose this year between D23 and SDCC. Ended up choosing SDCC, so I might see you there, Spicy Flag on. You'll see me walking around possibly.
Yeah.
Matt Skywalker.
Yeah, dude. I am excited for Japan.
Matt Skywalker says, can't wait to meet you guys at Celebration Japan. Yeah, it'll be pretty cool. You'll see me and Colin for sure. I don't know if anyone else is going to go.
On the
I
fence,
think the beginning of our vlog for that will be the video of them announcing it, and I just point the camera towards Josh, and Josh is like, yeah, and he gives like a random guy like a high five, and we're just like, all right, cool.
Yeah, Fluff Kenobi on YouTube says, wish D23 was in Orlando again. Had fun last year.
Someday, yeah.
Legacy Nerd on YouTube says, y'all, that it's possible that Palpatine as a young man looked like a Filipino Chinese man. I mean, that's a super reach, but
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
No. Had fun breaking the finale down. Good night from Orlando.
Peace. Yep.
Oh, he's from Orlando as well.
Same time zone, not the same stage.
Eastern time, yeah. All right, cool. All right, well, David, is there any words of wisdom that you want to leave the audience with?
The Patreon! Sign up for the Patreon!
You read my mind, Craig.
Star Wars Stuff Podcast 2187. Check us out.
You read my mind. No, so the words of wisdom I have are, when you get a show like The Acolyte, don't go into the show with any preconceived notions. Don't go in there with extremely high expectations because, of course, like I said in the pre-show, we don't control what they do. We're not the creators unless they want to hire us. I mean, that'd be fantastic. But, I mean, you got to kind of sort of put yourself in someone else's shoes. I mean, they have a different viewpoint. They grew up differently, different upbringing, have different views, different gender. I mean, Leslie Headland, I mean, she's not a guy. I mean, it's going to be different. But yeah, I mean, I went into this with zero expectations. I went in with mild hopes. We got Plagueis, we got Yoda. That was great to see. I would have loved them incorporated more, of course. But, I mean, you also got to be a realist. It is a TV show. It's not a feature-length film where they could spend... Well, they spent 180 million, but I mean, only 180 million only goes so far in these days of 2024. So, I mean, it's not a feature film, so they're not going to go all out. But like Josh stated, the choreography, the lightsaber duels, fantastic. We got a fantastic new character in Chimere. Like I said, Plagueis, Yoda, primed and ready for the next thing. If it's not an Acolyte Season 2, it's going to be something else. They can't just leave us hanging like that. Yeah. I think they got big plans for Plagueis, and you got the Yoda puppet sitting there. They dusted it off. No one had to put their hand in the puppet for Yoda, but I think they just sat him there. I didn't see any movement. Did you?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So, yeah.
I was hoping for like an ear twitch or something to be like, oh.
Oh, you're about to lie to me.
Stop lying. You must.
A force tick there.
Please, no.
Yeah, so, yeah, the next live action thing is Skeleton Crew. They say it's going to drop Christmas time. I think maybe Christmas Day, which is something I've been always asking for. Just give us a Christmas present, Lucasfilm. So maybe they did listen. So, yeah, those are my words of wisdom. Just go in there. Just have an open mind. You could always take positives from these shows. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
You was just like the whole time.
The whole time?
This guy's out here making the snipe comments. It's pretty good.
All right. Well, from all of us from the Star Stuff podcast, may the force be with you.
And also with you.
Always.
Support the Patreon.
Always.
He's begging you.
Star Stuff podcast 2187.
Begging.
Please, we have great content. David, push the button.
David's hungry.
I need to eat, guys. There's only so many action figures I can eat.